a quiet village in Nigeria, there lived a young man named Kelechi. Kelechi, known for his handsome looks and charming way with words, Kelechi had one problem that weighed heavily on him: poverty. Every day, he walked through the village, watching his peers drive fancy cars, live in big houses, and enjoy the good things in life. He dreamed of a better life, but it felt out of reach. One day, while strolling through the market, Kelechi overheard two old women gossiping about a wealthy woman named Mama Ada. She was much older than Kelechi, possibly old enough to be his mother. What intrigued him most was the rumor that Mama Ada was looking for a husband, a young, strong, and handsome man. As the rumor spread, Kelechi's mind raced. Mama Ada, though older, was known for her vast wealth. She owned several businesses, including the largest farm in the village, and was said to have a fortune stashed away. With no children or heirs, Kelechi realized that marrying her could mean inheriting all her wealth. His friend, Tunde, laughed when Kelechi shared his thoughts. "You want to marry that old woman just for her money? Are you really that desperate?" Tunde teased. Kelechi shrugged off the comments. "This could be my chance to escape poverty," he replied, determination in his voice. He decided he would pursue this opportunity. The next day, Kelechi dressed in his best clothes and headed to Mama Ada's mansion. The grand estate had high walls and beautiful gardens, making his heart race as he knocked on the massive wooden door. Moments later, the door creaked open, revealing Mama Ada, dressed in fine silk with her gray hair neatly wrapped. She smiled warmly, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "What brings a young man like you to my home?" she asked, her voice calm yet firm. Taking a deep breath, Kelechi spoke boldly. "Mama Ada, I have heard of your great wealth and your search for a husband. I believe I am the man you are looking for." Mama Ada chuckled softly. "And why would a young man like you want to marry an old woman like me?" she inquired, raising an eyebrow. Kelechi was caught off guard. He had expected her to be flattered. He fumbled for words but managed to smile. "It's not just your wealth that attracts me. I see a wise and strong woman who can teach me many things. Together, we could build something greater." After a moment of silence, Mama Ada nodded slowly. "Very well, Kelechi. I will consider your proposal, but marrying me will not be easy. You must prove yourself worthy." Kelechi's heart soared. "I will do anything you ask, Mama Ada," he replied eagerly. That evening, Kelechi left the mansion, his mind racing with possibilities. He didn't know what Mama Ada had in store for him, but he was sure of one thing: he was going to be rich. As he walked home, the sun setting behind him, he imagined a life of luxury. However, little did he know that his decision to marry for money would lead him down a challenging and unexpected path. Unable to sleep that night, Kelechi dreamt of wealth and luxury. He envisioned himself living in Mama Ada's mansion, driving expensive cars, and dining at the finest restaurants. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that Mama Ada's words about proving himself were a warning. What kind of test would she give him? The next morning, as the sun rose, Kelechi made his way back to Mama Ada's mansion. His heart pounded, but he kept reminding himself of his goal: the money, the riches, the life he always wanted. Upon arriving, Mama Ada's housekeeper, Mama Ese, an elderly woman with sharp eyes, greeted him. "Mama is expecting you," she said, gesturing for him to follow. He entered the grand sitting room where Mama Ada sat sipping tea. "Kelechi," she said, "you said you wanted to marry me. Before we discuss that further, I need to know if you are a man of your word." Kelechi nodded eagerly. "I am, Mama. I will do anything to prove myself." Mama Ada leaned back in her chair, scrutinizing him. "Your first task is simple but important. I want you to take this basket of food to my workers at the farm," she instructed, pointing to a large woven basket on the table. Kelechi was puzzled. This task seemed too simple for proving himself, but he didn't argue. "Of course, Mama," he said, picking up the basket. The farm was located on the outskirts of the village, and Kelechi made his way there under the scorching sun. By the time he arrived, he was exhausted. The sight of the enormous farm, with rows of crops stretching as far as he could see, took his breath away. The workers, busy tending to the fields, looked up as Kelechi approached. "Baba Salu," the oldest worker said, eyeing him suspiciously. "You must be the new young man Mama Ada has been talking about. What brings you here?" Kelechi handed him the basket. "Mama Ada sent me to bring food for the workers," he explained. Baba Salu nodded, but seemed unimpressed. "She's testing you, you know." Kelechi frowned. "Testing me how?" The old man chuckled. "If you think carrying a basket of food is all there is, you're in for a surprise." Just then, a commotion erupted at the far end of the farm. The irrigation system had broken, and without water, the crops would die. Kelechi watched as the workers scrambled to fix it. This was his chance to show his worth. Without hesitation, he rolled up his sleeves and joined the workers, determined to prove himself. Hours later, after tough work under the blazing sun, the irrigation system was fixed and water flowed through the fields once again. Baba Salu patted Kelechi on the back. "You did well, boy. Maybe you're not just here for the money after all." Kelechi smiled, proud of his effort. When he returned to the mansion that evening, Mama Ada was waiting for him. She looked at him, sweaty and tired, and nodded approvingly. "You did well today, Kelechi," she said. "But that was just the beginning. If you truly want to be with me, there will be more challenges ahead. A life of wealth requires more than just desire. It requires strength and endurance." Kelechi felt a chill run down his spine. He had passed the first test, but it was clear that Mama Ada had more in store for him. As he left the mansion that night, he wondered if he had made the right choice. The promise of wealth still beckoned, but at what cost? The next morning, Kelechi woke up with aching muscles and a restless mind. His determination to marry Mama Ada and live a life of luxury had not faded, but now he understood that achieving it might be more complicated than he had imagined. What other tests would Mama Ada put him through? When he arrived at the mansion, Mama Ese greeted him at the door, this time with a serious look. "Mama is waiting for you in the garden," she said. Without another word, she led him through the large mansion to the back, where the lush garden bloomed like paradise. Mama Ada sat on a stone bench, admiring the beautiful flowers. She motioned for Kelechi to sit beside her. "Kelechi," she began, her voice soft but firm, "you handled the farm well yesterday. I see you are not afraid of hard work, and that is good. But a marriage, to me, is not just about physical strength. You must also prove that you can handle responsibility and think on your feet." Eager to prove himself again, Kelechi asked, "What do you want me to do, Mama?" Her eyes twinkled, and Kelechi sensed that she had something important in mind. "Today, I need you to handle something delicate. Go to the market and collect money from my debtors. Some of them owe me large sums, and I need someone I can trust to bring it back safely." Kelechi's heart skipped a beat. He knew the market was bustling, but also filled with people who might avoid paying their debts. Carrying large sums of money could be risky. However, he couldn't back down now. "Consider it done, Mama," he said confidently. As he walked through the busy streets, filled with the sounds of bargaining and trading, Kelechi approached the first name on the list, a man named Alhaji Musa, who ran a fabric stall. "Good afternoon, Alhaji," Kelechi greeted him politely. "Mama Ada has sent me to collect what you owe." Alhaji Musa, a stout man with a bushy beard, frowned. "That woman again? Always asking for her money?" he muttered. But after a moment, he sighed and handed Kelechi a bag of coins. "Tell her that's the last time she'll see me owing anything." Kelechi smiled and thanked him before moving on to the next debtor, a woman named Iya Sade, who sold spices. Things didn't go as smoothly with her. When Kelechi mentioned Mama Ada's name, her eyes narrowed and she crossed her arms. "Tell Mama Ada I don't have her money. Times are hard, and I haven't made enough to pay her back." Kelechi hesitated, recalling Mama Ada's warning. He tried to reason with her. "Mama Ada is a generous woman. If you explain your situation, perhaps she will understand." But Iya Sade shook her head firmly. "I have nothing to give her today. She can come to me herself if she wants her money." Feeling frustrated, Kelechi decided to change his approach. "What if I help you sell your spices today? Maybe we can earn enough to pay her back together." Iya Sade regarded him skeptically, but eventually relented. "All right, you can help, but if we don't sell enough, you're still wasting your time." Kelechi rolled up his sleeves and helped Iya Sade set up her stall. As customers began to approach, he found himself in the rhythm of selling, enthusiastically describing the spices and their uses. By the end of the day, they had sold nearly all of Iya Sade's stock. When the day was over, she smiled, handing Kelechi half of what they earned. "You did well, young man. Tell Mama Ada I'll pay her back soon." With his heart full of pride, Kelechi returned to Mama Ada's mansion that evening, carrying a bag of coins and the promise of another payment. Mama Ada was waiting for him, her expression unreadable. "You're back," she said, glancing at the bag in his hands. "Did you succeed?" Kelechi nodded excitedly, handing her the bag. "I got what I could, and I have another promise for Iya Sade." Mama Ada inspected the bag, nodding in approval. "You are learning quickly, Kelechi. But remember, every challenge will test your resolve. Not all will be as easy as this one." That night, as Kelechi lay in bed, he thought about his journey so far. He was beginning to understand that marrying Mama Ada was not just about wealth. It was about learning, growing, and facing challenges he never anticipated. The next day, he was ready for whatever Mama Ada would throw his way. Little did he know, his trials were just beginning. Kelechi's heart pounded as he stood before Madame Ada. He had anticipated a challenge, but the intensity of her gaze made it clear this was more than just another task. She gestured to a wooden box on the table. Inside this box is a document, a contract. It's a deal with Chief Oko. You remember him, don't you? He's betrayed me, just as you suspected. This contract will ruin him financially and socially. By signing it, you'll help me rise above him, and our partnership will grow stronger. But you'll also be destroying a man's life. Kelechi's breath caught in his throat. This was it, the final test. It wasn't about physical endurance or cleverness. It was about his soul. Was he willing to crush someone else for the sake of wealth and power? Madame Ada continued, her eyes locked onto his. If you sign it, Kelechi, your place beside me will be guaranteed. You'll have all the wealth you've ever dreamed of. But understand this, signing it means you've chosen this life fully and completely. There's no going back. Kelechi stared at the box, his mind racing. He had come so far and passed every test. The promise of wealth, comfort, and influence lay just within his grasp. But at what cost? Was he truly ready to destroy another man's life for his own gain? Finally, he spoke, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Madam Ada, I've learned a lot from you. You've shown me how the world works, how power can be used to control people, and how wealth can change lives. But I've also learned something more important. There are some things money can't buy. Madam Ada's expression didn't change, but her eyes flickered with understanding. I can't sign that contract, Kelechi continued. I won't be responsible for destroying another person's life, no matter how much it benefits me. If I have to lose everything to keep my integrity, then that's a price I'm willing to pay. The room fell silent as Madam Ada stared at Kunla, her face unreadable. Then, to his surprise, a slow smile spread across her lips. You've made your choice, she said softly, and it's a brave one. Kelechi blinked, unsure how to interpret her reaction. Madame Ada walked over to him, her tone warmer, almost approving. This was the real test, Kelechi. I needed to see if you were willing to sacrifice your soul for wealth. Many men would have signed that contract without a second thought, but you didn't. That tells me you're stronger than I thought. Kelechi frowned, confused. So this was all a test? Madame Ada nodded. Yes, I've been testing more than your loyalty. I've been testing your character. You've shown me that you value more than just riches. You've passed the final test. A wave of relief washed over Kelechi. He hadn't lost himself after all, but he knew this meant the end of his path with Madame Ada. I understand if this means I can't be by your side anymore, he said, his voice steady. Madame Ada smiled. You're right. This life isn't for you, but that doesn't mean you failed. In fact, you've succeeded in the most important way. You've stayed true to who you are. That is something far more valuable than any wealth I could offer. Kelechi nodded, feeling a deep sense of peace. He had made the right choice. Ready to move forward without riches, but with his integrity intact, he left Madame Ada's mansion for the last time. As he stepped into the world outside, Kelechi knew his journey wasn't over. He would find his way, but this time, he would do it on his own terms. Moral of the story. The pursuit of wealth and power can lead to moral compromises, but in the end, staying true to your values and integrity is far more important than any riches. Kelechi's journey teaches us that while wealth may seem appealing, the cost of losing yourself isn't worth it. True strength comes from standing by what you believe in, even when the stakes are high. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed Kelechi's story and the lessons it brought, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more African tales and inspiring stories. #.